allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Riddell.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Hahn.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have a presentation today from the Mars Board on the request for 1.2 mil renewal levy to be on the November 5th, 2024 ballot.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, hello and good evening.
Welcome.
Michael Dowd, the Director of the Mental Health Addiction Recovery Services Board for Lorain County. I distributed a packet a moment ago that has a PowerPoint presentation in there for you to reference after today, and then any questions, just reach out.
Thank you.
There it goes. Perfect. So the first picture on your left is the administration building for the Mars Board. And there we house the 20 FTEs on our payroll. To the right is the drop-in center, which is targeted for adult clients of behavioral health services. The drop-in center is open Monday through Thursday, including some evenings. The top picture on the right is an example of a training class for law enforcement, the Crisis Intervention Training program that we do twice annually. And below that is our training center, all on the same campus. And that training center is available to our network of providers, including our community stakeholders at no cost. Who are we? The Mental Health Addiction Recovery Services Board is comprised of 18 volunteer board of directors who are appointed by the county commissioners and by the director of the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services in Columbus. They are appointed for a 4-year term, and they can serve 2 consecutive terms. What do we do? The Mars Board is responsible for the planning, funding, and monitoring of publicly funded behavioral health services in Lorain County. And these services are provided to children as young as age 2 to older adults. Services by the numbers, unduplicated count. In 23, we served 10,532 individuals. Of that, 7,983 were adults, 2,549 was a child or adolescent. The 2 tables below that identify by race population served. And on average, we serve 37% of these individuals identify as minority in Lorain County. Our sources of revenue, you will see the levy resources at $12 million, which is 60% of our budget. Federal resources, 27%, is $5.5 million annually. And the state resources is $2.5 million, 13% of our budget. In 22, our revenues were about $23 million. In addition to these resources, we are the fiscal agent for the Integrated Services Partnership Program, which is a collaboration with Children's Services, Juvenile Court, and the Developmental Disabilities Board. An example of some of the grant funding and how those dollars are used. We receive an allocation from Ohio MAS at $1.4 million annually. These dollars are often braided with other funding sources to fund crisis services, care coordination, treatment, residential services. The state opioid response grants, $2.1 million, will be funded for 3 years beyond 23. Those dollars are used to address the opioid crisis in our community. Those dollars are not usually braided. Those dollars are used to fund recovery support services, recovery housing, peer support, SUD treatment, and detox services. Then a block grant from the state for prevention and treatment for SUD disorders. Budget by categories, you will see 85% of the funding that we receive are for client services, 4% for admin, the balance for professional services, audit fees, and capital. Services that we fund in the community begin with prevention, early intervention, treatment, detox, continuum of housing, crisis services both for children and adults. In addition to the services, the treatment services, we also, we are a designated provider of continuing education through the state of Ohio, where we can provide CEUs for licensing for social workers, counselors, and for chemical dependency staff. Organizations funded by the board, I'm not going to read through this, but you notice it's both children and adults and also peer recovery agencies. I'll wrap up by talking about the Crisis Diversion Center, which is currently under construction. This is a very good example of a private and public partnership in Lorain County. This project came to fruition with funding from philanthropy, from the federal government, the state of Ohio, including funding from the county commissioners and my board of directors. It is a $17 million project geared to open next early fall or late summer. The goal behind this project is to redirect the traffic flow of individuals going to the emergency rooms when they're in a psychiatric crisis or experiencing issues related to their dependency, and redirecting the traffic flow to the Crisis Diversion Center. We have heard from our partners and from the Sheriff's Office that on average about 20 to 25% of the inmates at the county jail are being detoxed, and of that they're usually discharged within 2 to 3 days, or I should say released within 2 to 3 days, often not connected with the provider when they re-enter into the community. So we are changing the way crisis services will be accessed in Lorain County, with the goal that they will be assigned a peer recovery worker when they enter the facility. They'll follow them into the community after discharge and stay connected. And we realize when we talk about those suffering from addiction, that often they re-engage with services many times before they are in recovery. But the goal is staff will stay connected with that individual. So we are working with our law enforcement community around this population. In fact, tomorrow we have a law enforcement work group. We're talking about policies and protocols around accessing the services, but we're hopeful that come next late summer, early fall, this would be a game changer in Lorain County. That is it. Any questions?
Michael, is the, you listed the 3 grants. Are those part of the 12 million or part of the 22 million?
That is part of the 22 million.
Okay.
It's my understanding that you did have a meeting with the sheriff and the jail, and I heard there's some synergies there.
Yeah, went very well.
Okay, you guys gotta do some more follow-up and.
Absolutely. And we are looking at diverting at least 1 to 2 daily for booking to the diversion center.
Commissioner, when we talked about it earlier, now that we're in the programming stages of the jail, deciding what we're doing, and the Mars board is already in the construction phase. I had asked the administrative team to set up a meeting, and we had Andy Lobenthal from the Sheriff's Department, the chairman of the board, Dan Urban, and Mr. Dowd, and our architect, to make sure that there was a synergy and not a duplication of the services being provided. And it was an excellent meeting, not only in terms of that goal, but it was very enlightening as to the treatment track that we need to be there needs to be one process, maybe with multiple delivery points depending on the needs of the individual, but there needs to be a common funnel that brings people through the process so that they can get directly to the services they need. And it was a very enlightening meeting, very enlightening.
We are pre-arrest, that's the best way of referring to it.
Yes.
But certainly, when they're released, that could be a potential referral source if they're no longer under control.
Very good. But I commend the management team. We accomplished the goal in that meeting, which is to let the architect understand what's being already delivered or about to be delivered in Lorain County, so that we don't duplicate that, we augment it with the jail situation, understanding that not everybody it's appropriate to go to jail, and not everybody is it appropriate to go to the open market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
When do we vote on this?
You can vote now if you like.
We can do this while it's fresh, and then the Mars people can move or stay for the entertainment.
You gonna read the resolution then?
I can read it.
Yes.
Resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of 10 million limitation. This is to provide essential mental health and recovery services and facilities for children, adults, and senior adults at a rate not exceeding 1.2 mils for each dollar valuation, which amounts to 12 cents per each $100 valuation for a period of 5 years, as authorized by Ohio Revised Code Section 340-5705.221, which levy is upon the entire territory of Lorain County and is a renewal of an existing levy. Said levy shall be submitted to electors of the entire territory of Lorain County at the election to be held on November 5th of 2024 and placed on tax duplicate for the year 2025, first collection 2026.
Excuse me, Commissioners, it's a 10-year renewal.
Is it?
Are we gonna need the table to verify that?
We can amend, but
No.
Teresa's.
Who's taking
We
it
can
down
just
first?
amend it, but just wait, yes, I'm sorry, it is 10 years.
I want
It is
Teresa to
10 years,
confirm it.
yes,
Okay,
So we just-
amend it
yeah,
as amended to 10.
for a period of 10 years.
Thank you,
Sorry
Michael.
about that. Yes.
Yeah. You started to sweat over there.
Did you finish reading it, Teresa? The entire thing?
Yeah.
I just read this part, and then such levy shall be placed on the ballot at election to be held November 5th, 2024. And then that the clerk of the county commissioners is hereby directed to certify a copy of the resolution to the Board of Elections, Lorain County, Ohio, by no later than 4 p.m. on August 7, 2024, and notify the said Board of Elections to cause notice of election on the question of levying said tax to be given as required by law. So this is a 1.2 mil for 10 years.
Oh. I move to approve that one with the 10.
I have a second as amended?
Discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes,
Commissioner Riddell?
aye.
thank you.
Yep. Good luck.
Okay.
Under resolutions, number 1, investments.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes,
Number 2, appropriations.
Move to approve.
Second? Ooh, go ahead.
second. Dan, is that you?
Discussion.
Yes, I'd like to make note of the, there's 2 expenditures here that have long-term implications. The one for $220,000 for NeoGov to update and augment our HR services, not only for the Commissioner's Department, for other departments wishing to join. Several have indicated the desire to do that. And then secondly, the updating the $679,000, which is the funding for the master plan for the airport required by the FAA. That's a 10-year plan? Karen and Jeff? 20. It's a 20-year plan, so.
Yep. And should have been updated a lot earlier than this, correct?
It should have been, and that, we do receive reimbursement funds from the FAA.
Yes, there'll be resolution, I think, to some of that as we go forward, but there's quite a bit of work there to do to get everything in order for the airport. It's kind of been kicked down the road a little bit, and we're catching up.
Yep, well, the main thing is had some meetings today in regards to options A, option B. And we had some very productive meetings, I guess, out at the college, who's helping us participate. The problem is with the airport, you really can't move forward unless it follows the master plan. And if it doesn't follow the master plan, it hinders our ability for economic growth. And so there's a lot of things going on in this county, a lot of positive things. There's issues going on in Vermillion right now, a referendum. And maybe the community isn't aware, but one of the ideas that I've been looking at for 3 years is taking Sunnyside Road and turning that into a airport. But I felt that that's a zero tax base collection for the community. So there's going to be a lot of debate coming up in Vermillion in regards to that. In order to move that forward, or some of these other opportunities that we are looking at, we missed out on Micron from coming to this community because of our outdated master plan. And so therefore, I appreciate the work that Karen and Jeff are doing. They're going extremely fast, considering the FAA is probably one of the slowest bureaucracies at the federal level. And you guys are doing an excellent job, and it was a very productive meeting today. So I'm hoping I'm hoping that this can accelerate the plans with the exposure that this county is getting on a national basis. And hopefully one day we'll have one of the largest mega sites in the country. So I appreciate today what you guys did and what you're doing. So thank you.
Yes, I think the major takeaway for this, for the public, is that we're moving towards long-range planning and not just paying the bills for today, trying to make sure that we can grow Lorain County back into the gem of the South Shore of Lake Erie that it was, as well as the fact that it truly is with the FAA. If we give them a 20-year plan and we decide in 7 years we want to do something different, the answer is an automatic no. So there's a lot of hard work going on here to examine and try and predict all of the alternatives that could happen, so that as our future develops, we've got some flexibility on what we can do. And so yes, it's a sizable expense, but it's probably one of the key infrastructure expenses for our economic development in the decade to come.
I think it was 2 years ago, I was at NOAC, and they started talking about the closing of Burke Lake for future development. And I immediately, on a board of 46, raised my hand and said, Lorain County has a regional airport. We're supposed to take the overflow. And with Burke Lake now in the crosshairs of Cleveland to shut down, I'm hoping that we can, with your master plan, the work you guys are doing, that we're going to have a lot of opportunities, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years. So people aren't going to remember this little side vote today, but it's very important, this master plan. And hopefully, I thought, weren't we talking about trying to update it every 10? Yeah, I think that was what we're missing here, is to review it every 7 to 10, right? Okay.
Any other discussion, commissioners? Teresa?
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 3, transfers.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 4, advances, repayments. There were none. Number 5, requisitions.
And I think we have 3 pages. Yes. Page 2, Victor. And page 3.
Yeah, the Visitors Bureau had a very successful, I was hoping Gary would be here today, car and air show, largest, they had over 3,500 people that showed up, so it was very successful. They had live bands, and it was pretty exciting to watch, a lot of the planes taking off and providing rides. So,
And despite the little bit of ribbing we took over advertising in Cleveland for the eclipse, the reality is that the Cleveland TV stations covered our air show and did a magnificent job and had people on site reporting back on the attendance and all the activities. So
we're on the map.
we're on the map and we're not being ignored anymore.
Well, that's because we got a lot of land, a lot of water, and a lot of development, and they are actually, I met with one yesterday, that they're now starting to assign reporters just to our county. So this is, I think they see all the great things we're doing here, so it's exciting. Sorry, I didn't know if you were
No, I
talking.
was to say maybe
Okay.
Gary could come by on Friday
Yeah.
and give us a synopsis. He usually does, you're right.
And we'll make, I'm sure Jeff will make a note.
Hopefully he's still out there sweeping up.
I doubt that. I doubt that a lot. Move to approve pages 1, 2, and 3.
Second?
Anything further? Discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn?
I will be a yes with an abstaining on 1280.
Not 1281?
No, 1280 looks good.
Okay.
Number 6, travel.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn?
Yes.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Number 7, bills.
Okay.
5 pages.
5 pages. This is the first. We start off with 2 for the general fund. Page 2. And special revenue funds, page 3. Page 4. And page 5.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn?
Yes.
Number 8, county commissioners may recess an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employee or official, along with any other matters as specifically identified by motion in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G 1 through 8. Unless expressly stated otherwise during executive session, matters discussed in executive session are designated by the county commissioners as confidential. Because the confidentiality of such matters is necessary for the proper conduct of government business, any disclosure outside of executive session is prohibited by Ohio Revised Code 102.03B. While in executive session, the county commissioners may discuss and deliberate on the matters at issue, but no votes may be taken until open session resumes.
Move to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second?
Discussion, room for that?
You want to put it,
And Casey, you've signed off on the, that's in their budget?
what's, and I think it's federal dollars, correct?
Correct, and to further put your mind at ease, like I said, whatever, those expenses are, the general fund is 100% reimbursed, by workforce through those grants that they receive. So, but yes, that is in their budget, correct.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Steve, public comment on agenda items? I'm not sure.
we have we have Aiden Fogel for agenda item 2.
I'll pass.
So I guess that's it, nobody else.
Well, we have Michael.
No, that's on the public, I think, for Mike.
That's for 18 as well.
Oh, number
Number
18?
18.
Oh. What's 18? Oh.
Michael Carlo, 320 Alberta, Vermillion. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. President. It doesn't have to happen for this time either, but if you read this here, all goes towards salary, supplies, and equipment. We can go salaries, pensions, supplies, and equipment. That way we're not left holding the bag after this at the very end. We're supplying it on the front end. If we can do that in the future, or even for this one, that'd be great. I would think. Just an idea, throwing out there, exchanging ideas with you. Have a great day. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
D, old business?
No, I don't know.
Okay, E, board business. 9, approve and waive the reading of the county commissioners meeting minutes of July 2nd, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 10, adopting the FY25 Lorain County tax budget and approve as submitted in the tax booklet.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes. And Victor, I believe we have that to put on the screen.
This is just the general fund, correct? Okay. We have all the other ones too in the book, the pamphlet, which is 37 pages.
Yes. Would you like to give us some background on that, Casey?
Certainly. So this document here that we're looking at here on the screen, this is a collection of the general fund budgets that have been submitted specifically for this 2025 tax budget. So just a quick breakdown of this document. Each line represents an individual general fund budget, and then the columns left to right. The first column there is the approved budgets for the general fund for the year 2024. Those next columns there are the budgets as received from the individual departments, as well as a comparison to the 2024 numbers. One thing of note with those particular line items, this year, upon the request from the commissioners, we have dispersed the hospitalization funds, the life insurance funds, and the Medicare funds throughout the individual department budgets, as opposed to in historically, all those expenses, the employer share of those expenses were housed and paid out of a centralized general fund budget. So in order to give us a better read on dispersing those expenses to individual departments, we have asked those departments to include hospitalization, life insurance, and Medicare within their budget. So you'll see there are some significant differences from their 25 to 24 budget request to kind of help bring some to kind of bring those numbers in line a little bit and make it a little clearer. There's the columns, the last 3 columns there in the end that we are referring to as the apples to apples comparison, and those numbers reflect the budgets as submitted by the departments with the hospitalization, life insurance, and Medicare kind of backed out of those numbers, so we can really see a more representative comparison of the 24 budget numbers compared to the 2025 budget numbers. So again, it's had those figures and then a comparison of those figures, percentage differences, and as well as amount differences. If that's clear.
No, that's, I
There's
mean,
mud.
and I asked you earlier, but with the new ask, the way we were asking everybody to identify
Sure,
and break
perhaps.
it down,
Yeah, so this year, for all our general fund budgets, we did submit,
Requested, I guess.
we put out a new form for the departments to fill out that does get a little more granular with their budget, including kind of breaking down those employees, the number of full-time and part-time employees, what their hospitalization expense is. Again, just to get a more granular look at the bottom line cost for each department. And like I said, so far, I haven't received a whole lot of feedback, positive or negative, which I think is a good thing. All the departments, for the most part, returned those, picked it up really quickly and completed those forms as requested and turned those back in. So far, so good.
Okay.
And I might add that the purpose for that is not to create more bookkeeping for someone or less bookkeeping for someone else. The purpose of that was, after we completed our audit of the hospitalization, we found out that there were errors and things going on that were actually our loose control. And by moving the hospitalization into each department's budget, they now assume the management responsibility that if they add an employee, they have to add the cost of hospitalization to their budget. If they lose an employee, they have to notify us and remove it from their budget. And because it's now a budget item for them, you know, it's our hope that they will accept that little bit of a challenge. And when there's children that are added to it, when there's a divorce and those kinds of things, that the management of the individual expenses is much more appropriate at the department level because they know their people and they know what they're providing. So it's our hope that if we were to do another audit in 4 or 5 years of the hospitalization plan, that we would find out very little issues because it had been well managed by moving that piece of it down to the people that have the information necessary to manage it. So that's the main difference, and this is the last year that we'll be showing the difference, because once we approve this year's budget with the hospitalization in each department, next year it'll be comparing next year to this year in the same format. The only reason that there's these extra columns is because we want to give the departments credit that, you know, they're asking, you know, if you look at their raw percentage increase, it can be rather large because we're dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars of insurance costs into their budget. And that's really not an issue. That's not mismanagement of their budget. That's just moving it from one place to another. And as you examine the form and you look at the hospitalization fund, you'll see the reduction by the same amount that's being dispersed to the other departments. So it's a net wash to the total budget. So I would also like to add at this time that we started talking last year about the challenges that would come in 2025, and we'll be working over the next several months to try and analyze pieces and parts and meet with some of the departments. As you can see, the total request for 25 is a little over $89 million, and that represents about a 6% increase over 2024. But if our revenue stream does not increase by that amount, this will be the first time we will not be able to just grab onto ARPA monies and replace lost revenue. We will have to bring the budget in line one way or another, remembering that some of the departments, their budgets are mandated by law, and other parts of the budgets are discretionary and open for discussion. But we will spend the next 60 days meeting and explaining the challenges to some of to all of the department heads and coming to a clear negotiated agreement. So, but this is the hangover that comes from the ARPA drugs.
No, but they've done a good job at creating a new format in which we can identify a more itemized budget instead of just generally throwing in money and other miscellaneous. So I appreciate the way that your team, Jeff Armbruster, I think you worked at finding it, and Karen, working with KC, so that now we can take a look at the history of these guys, or each of these budgets, and analyze what their ask is and make sure that the ask isn't really excessive. So now we can zero in on if we are gonna have to make cuts, we can have those discussions hopefully in the next, like you said, next 60, 90 days. And then we'll have, if we can't come to agreement, I think at that point, we'll have to have some public discussions at that point. So,
But I would like to give the yeoman's, credit to Casey and Mike.
Yeah.
They've really worked it hard, including keeping an eye on the administrator's budget.
So by statute, we have to pass this.
By statute, we have to
Yeah.
pass this and then
This is-
work it
this
out
is-
between now and the end of the
Yeah,
year.
this is not the final budget.
I don't understand that process, but our prosecutor says we need to follow the law.
Yes, my life would be much easier if we just listen to the prosecutor all the time, that would be better.
Oh,
Mr. President, you and I
Yes.
were at the last budget commission meeting, which, Casey went over the numbers for us on where we are currently this year and staying on track to stay within budget. The numbers are looking good as far as what you reported and what Tim reported from the auditor's office. We're at the halfway point on operating receipts, and we're looking good for staying in budget this year, projecting.
Yes, I think when we looked at, Commissioner, we took a look, this week, which was Monday, we took a look at it, and as a county, for all departments together, we're halfway through the year, and we are 50.8% of our budget expended, which means despite some of those spikes and things that we, because we're front-loaded with expenses at the front of the year, but we're managing that, which as you mentioned with the meeting with the budget commission and the treasurer, it's really nice when the treasurer can see that nice even disbursement of money, and he can manage the purchase and sale of investments in order to keep the checkbook full. So, but I think that's great news and a tribute to all the departments that while we still take care of staff issues and rising wages and rising expenses with materials, that we are essentially 50% of budget, 50% through the year. So kudos to the directors and their staffs.
Is there anything further? Commissioner Moore?
aye,
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under Community Development, 11, approval and authorization of execution and delivery of a second amendment to the tax increment financing agreement with Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC, which is Sandstone Parkway, Amherst Township.
move to approve.
Second?
Discussion.
I don't know if Rob, do you want to add anything to this?
None.
Or Don?
Just real quick, this amendment is a result of having some conversations over the last year with Administrator Armbruster and the developers. The way the development agreement was originally designed to protect the county was that we would not do a reimbursement to the developer until such time as the county switched from notes to permanent financing bonds. With the road, the Spline Road, the first phase in with houses going up, we know the project will go forward. We are comfortable. And so it was determined that rather than continue to make the developer wait for dollars that in many cases were fronted for the county, we're going to reimburse him those costs now that the project is well underway, so that we're not only treating our developers fair, but also allowing the project to continue to move at an accelerated rate with these high interest rates. He is essentially borrowing money at a higher rate than we would be borrowing, so it would only be fair to treat our developers correctly in this environment. That's what this is, and if you have any questions, Rob and I'd be happy to answer them.
No, I commend you. We've had some improvements in the process, and I think this is a big step in recognizing the fact that the developer and the financial institution have much more at risk than we do. Showing a little trust to the developer goes a long way to making us, a great place for people to want to come in and invest money and help us grow the county. So, and I know that there's a lot of angst over a period of time when you spend public dollars, but the dollars that we have at risk at this point are small compared to the financial institution and the developer himself.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Under Job and Family Services, 12, amend Resolution 24-342, adopted May 21st of 2024, authorizing El Centro to provide summer camp to low-income Lorain County children. This amendment is to increase contract by $48,747.66 for the total contract amount not to exceed $300,000, and this will be paid from the TANF account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 13, we already approved this, back on October 20th of 2023, so we're not gonna do this today.
We just moved to strike it then.
You can move to strike.
Does this qualify, Teresa, as a golden oldie then?
Yeah, I don't know, I received an email and she said then delete it, but then I was already done with the agenda.
We were already
so-
published and
Yeah.
we're not gonna go through that.
So, you wanna make a motion
Yeah,
to
I'll move to
strike?
strike if you want it off of there. It just
Second?
Takes it off.
Discussion. Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Dell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Stormwater Management 14, award contract to Davy Research Group, Kent, in the amount not to exceed $26,952.20 for the maintenance of the Clinton Avenue Detention Basin and Lake Avenue Stream Restoration Project. There were five bids were picked up, but this was the only bid received and will be paid from the stormwater account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
15, award contract to ADT Construction, Inc. for million in the amount not to exceed $43,208.40 for the Earhart Road Ditch Restoration Project Phase 2. 5 bids were received on July 1st, this being the most responsive complying with specifications, and will be paid from the stormwater account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, Don, do you want to add
Uh,
some commentary? I thought we had more than this going on, so.
we actually have another one coming Friday.
Okay, want to save your remarks for that?
That is the big one, but this is real nice in that it's just another one of the projects we did a public hearing on about 5 weeks ago. And, was able to get it through, it got good bids, a good number of bids. This is out in Grafton Township and is some of the ARPA money at work. And there'll be more contracts coming.
And this is because of the new system?
Yes.
The, what's the number again?
The ORC 6117.
That's it, yeah, make you happy. Sorry, sometimes we make jokes for ourselves, right? Okay,
Is there anything further? Commissioner Moore?
aye,
Commissioner Hahn?
Yes.
Commissioner
Thanks,
Dow?
Don.
Aye.
thanks, Don.
Under the airport, 16, approve and enter an agreement with KS Associates Elyria in the amount of $79,600 to perform surveying services Lorain County Regional Airport. Services have been divided in 2 phases described as Phase 1, Part Boundary Survey, Northern Airport Parcels Phase 1, Part 2, Parcel Legal Description, Splits, Combinations, and Phase 2. Boundary Survey remaining airport parcels, and this will be paid from the professional services account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye,
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Number 17, approve and enter an agreement with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly, Inc., Springfield, Illinois, in the amount not to exceed $60,000 for professional services at the Lorain County Airport. CMT agrees to perform professional engineering or architectural services and will be paid from the professional services account.
so moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Jeff, do you want to weigh in on what these two projects mean to the airport? At the risk of taking the thunder away from your report.
No, I mean, they're absolutely necessary. Karen actually did most of the work on them to put it together, I mean, if not all. But we have to do the master plan according to the FAA. We're, 3 years behind in starting it, is that correct? So this should have been done several years ago and was not. and the actual, we're doing the surveying to separate the non-aviation property from the aviation property, so that we can use that property for other purposes than aviation. As we go through this process in the survey, we're going to have it appraised, and a second appraisal to go through, and then we go through a process with the FAA to pay them back for that use of that land as it's attached. So it sounds complicated, it is, and it's a process that we have to go through with the FAA to move forward on the survey. As for the Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly part, we need to do the master plan in order to as you spoke earlier, with regards to the plans for the airport, the possibility of moving the airport, the possibility of there's just unbelievable what can happen to Lorain County. And we're working diligently with all the elected officials that we've been dealing with, including the federal government, as well as the FAA. And you have to follow their rules because they're kind of like they're in charge of it, so we've got to follow their rules, which sometimes are draconian, if not always draconian. But that's just the way it is. Karen, would you like to add?
Item 17 falls under the heading of red tape.
Yes.
And I always try to remind people that the airport is owned by the federal government, we're just the sponsor, so it'll be all right, we'll make it through.
Yes.
I guarantee you that.
It's very painful when you go to Detroit, I can tell you that right now.
More ways than one.
But it keeps going back, glutton for punishment,
Yeah.
this guy.
They don't want to see us up there in person. They want us to do it over Zoom, but no, we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way because we get more stuff done.
Right. Well, and as you indicated, if there's, 3 or 4 options on how to use the airport going forward, we need to have the engineering study done backing up each of those options in order to keep them in the master plan.
Correct.
A lot of work.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddle?
Aye.
Under Sheriff 18, enter in a sub-grant award agreement with Ohio Department of Public Safety, Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund Grant, 2023 DLLEF 5878 in the amount of $153,681.24 for Lorain County Drug Task Force. This grant funding will be used towards salary, supplies, and equipment and will be paid from the salaries MEG DTF equipment supplies salaries account.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
County Administrator update?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I can't believe I'm the first one to say this today, but yesterday was the beginning of our microtransit programs in both the city of Elyria and Lorain. So I did ask Shannon in Transit to provide us with a little snapshot of a one-day microtransit service here in Lorain County. So 99% of the rides booked were through the app. 54% were Elyria riders, 46% were Lorain riders. 7.6% of the rides were optimized shared rides. The first ride was at 6:45 a.m. I think we know who that may have been. The last ride was at 6:16 p.m. So right now our hours of service are 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So it looks like we're where we need to be. But this is just a one-day look. The average ETA for service from scheduled pickup was 10 minutes. The average ride was 3.7 miles, and the average ride duration was 11.7 minutes. 54% of the riders left reviews, 99% left a 5-star rating, which is kind of nice. 1% left a 4-star rating. Some of the general comments we received were that the vehicles were clean, comfy, friendly staff, great driver, and a quick trip and smooth riding. So hopefully we can keep this positive experience moving forward with our microtransit services in both Lorain and Elyria. So my second item is, quite some time ago, the board had requested that we have an audit done of some of our healthcare providers, Medical Mutual and also Med Impact. We have received notification from Amwins that they have completed the report with Medical Mutual. However, we're still waiting to get the report through for Med Impact, which is our pharmaceutical vendor. We're having some issues gathering all the data that we need in order to complete that study. So hopefully we'll be coming back to the board and giving you a more thorough review on that. So, Mr. Armbruster.
So let's go back to NeoGov. Actually, it is an HR program and helps us with a lot of things, but what it's really going to help us with is time and attendance. There's a section of this where we can actually use it for time and attendance. No need for time clocks, purchase of time clocks. And it's going to be open to all departments in the county to go to this program. You can just use a tablet or your computer as you can move in and navigate through that. So it's certainly going to help us in the process. And maybe someday with that, we'll be able to reconnect to ADP. Not sure at this point. We're not even going there at this point. We're just going to we're going to start the time and attendance side, and as well as use it for HR and evaluations and all kinds of training that we can do. So it's a great program. We're looking forward to using it as months ahead. Most recently, Brian Hoagland came in with Corsa, the County Risk Sharing Authority, which we have our insurance. There's 72 out of 88 counties in the state of Ohio that are in the Corsa program. And quite honestly, I was quite pleased that our increase for the county of Lorain was only 9.87%, which in today's market, when you look at what the increased cost, the majority of them was due to reinsurance. The insurance company provides the first coverage and then they reinsure it with reinsurers, but we only got a 9.87% increase. We actually did move our deductible from $25,000 to $50,000, which saved us about $10,000 a year in cost for the premium. Moving from there to the Commissioner Riddell mentioned that the jail team did meet. Andy Leventhal and Sergeant Irish, Eric Ratz, our architect, Karen, myself, the Mars board, and we had a very lively, I think, President Riddell was there for most of the meeting, if not all, and over about an hour and a half, 2 hours to just talk about how the Mars board and how the jail and how our mental, how that works together. They were very pleased, and I know we were very pleased with our plan and where we are. Obviously, it's not done yet, yet we're going to work with all the players and all the people that have contact with the jail and work with them all to make sure that whatever plan we do come out for the building of the jail, when we do put it on the ballot, hopefully with a sales tax or some other way of bonding it out, that we have total buy-in by all of the different entities that either use the jail or have comments towards that jail. And on Friday, we will have an update on the 6119, the sewer district. Our attorneys and Raptelis will be here, as well as Mayor Forthover from Vermillion will be here to talk about how important it is and what is the next process for the 6119. And we're hopefully to get through that process and have a 6119 formed sometime later this fall, early winter, or in first part of 2025 for the sewer district, and form that independent political situation that we have a board such as Northeast Ohio Sewer District run it outside of the politics of Lorain County or a city or a township or Lorco. That completes my report this evening.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I had a question on the NeoGov. I didn't want to interrupt you though, Jeff. I put a note down here when we were passing it. I don't remember who said it because I didn't write down who said it, but you mentioned others were joining. Off the top of your head on the NeoGov, who were the other, or do we have other electeds or departments that are joining us on that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I thought you would
I can
mention it.
only say that Elise is working with the prosecutor's office. I'm not, and they have not seen what we have seen. And I don't believe that Christine was over there when NeoGov gave us, we've had several different demonstrations from NeoGov, and it's really kind of cool. I mean, all of the different things that you can use NeoGov for. I know this evening we approved a time clock right stuff, who I happen to like, for the sheriff's department. But when asked about NeoGov and whether we should have a time clock, I said absolutely not. We're gonna use the cloud, we're gonna use tablets, we're gonna use the equipment we have, we're gonna get the cost savings there. And in the prosecutor's office, I think they all have PCs in front of them, and they can just clock in right there. It's gonna save us a tremendous amount of time in the calculation of the hours. I would think, Casey, you might wanna speak to that. I mean, the number of hours that are put into hand calculating everything and making sure it's right there's I wouldn't say it's wasted time, because everybody gets paid, but it certainly is time that they could spend other ways when we move. And we can become more productive in our real job rather than trying to figure out how to pay somebody. So we're really looking forward to getting that piece of it going.
Great, thank you.
And really, to answer your question, once we get it and show how simple it is, I think there's gonna be others gonna pile on, because we're not gonna ask them to pay. We wouldn't. We shouldn't. We should break down the silos, and we should have one system that works good for everyone.
Anything further?
That
Okay.
completes the report, Jeff.
I have nothing. Board correspondence?
Move to waive the reading of the board correspondence?
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Dow?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Is there any new business?
There are a couple of things I would like to present. First of all, I'd like to correct something I said earlier this evening. The commissioners are 50.8% of budget. But the county as a whole is at 54.26. So, in the interest of accuracy, I just want to report that. But considering that many of the departments have to pay their software for the entire year up front in the first quarter, 54% is halfway through the year is extremely under control. Spending is under control. I'd also like, Teresa, I'd like to put this on the projector. It's a report that just came in yesterday, and I pieced it together from 3 pages. Everybody likes to know how we're doing compared to our neighbors, and I discussed this with Casey today, and it appears to be accurate. This data comes from Columbus, and it shows our collections for the first quarter, which is the end of April. The data for the second quarter, end of June, has not yet been compiled and available to us, but it shows how the rest of the state is doing at collecting sales tax. And there's I think there's 3 things of note in there, and that is that the average for the state at the bottom, average for the state is at 2% above last year for collection. Collier County is at 7. The first quarter shows us down a little bit, but Casey said that as of the budget meeting last week that Commissioner Hung was talking about, we're a little bit above last year at the end of the second quarter, but that data has not been confirmed and returned from the state of Ohio yet, but we will share that as soon as it does. And then I draw your attention to Licking County. When everybody talks about economic development and the hard work it takes and why do you want to spend money for economic development, I'd like you to take a look at the increase this year over last year in the first quarter for Licking County, which is where Intel is. And in the first quarter of the year, they experienced a 41% increase in sales tax revenue. Obviously, it won't be 41% per quarter for the rest of their life. But I think we can make a safe assumption, the impact that Intel's going to have on the sales tax revenue for Licking County. And when you're talking about trying to run a county without tax increases to the citizens, we need to be mindful that economic investments we make in economic development will produce results, which will produce taxes that'll increase revenue for us to provide services without having to raise taxes as much as we would have to without, if at all. So I just share that information for those that wonder why we do the 6119, why we do the things that we do with the airport, and the forward-looking thing that the current board is using as our game plan for the county. So I don't have any other questions. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that, or whether we just want to call it an evening. But that's all I wanted to do, is add some food for thought before we left.
The public comment, was there any?
We didn't have any public comment for general. It was just on the items.
Okay.
I had a public comment.
You were on item 2.
I wrote public comment.
I think Mike said public comment over there. Right, Mike?
Yeah, you didn't check the public comment part, but if you wish to speak, we have the time.
You have the time?
Yeah,
Now?
yeah.
So first of all, you mentioned Intel, and I just want to commend Mary Donovan Spragowski for her efforts to bring Intel to Ohio. It was unfortunate it didn't come to Lorain County, but I think there's always the future. So I just threw this together real quick, but I've been thinking about this since the last meeting, and I still can't figure out for the life of me why these Cuyahoga County RICO felons are giving so much money to Dave Moore. They're Democrats. Jimmy DeMora was the chairman of the Cuyahoga
That's a
County.
campaign subject, Aiden. Could we move off of that onto county business?
I want my time back too. If you're gonna interrupt me,
I
I want
want
my
you to
time.
stay on county business.
So, this is county business.
No.
Dave Moore is an elected official. He is the county commissioner. So Dan, what do you want to do here, Dan? It's up to you.
Up to the president of the board.
Are you gonna, it's up to the president of the board. Who's the president of the board? I can't figure that out either. I mean, because last week Dave interrupted you, wouldn't let you comment. I don't know if it's because he thinks you're incompetent or, because
That's
he
it.
thinks.
Yeah,
That's
Okay,
it.
thank you.
You're done.
Thank you. I was looking for that. Thank you, John.
Well, glad you're happy.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm not done.
provided.
I'm not done.
Yes.
You're done.
I'm not done.
You're done.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Jose,
Hey, Mike, did you want to come up?
All my 2 minutes,
Mike?
Jeff.
Jose,
You're gonna have to have me arrested.
No, you
you're
don't
not
have
being
to.
arrested. You're
Or
going to be
I'm not gonna
escorted
leave
back to
here.
your seat.
I'm gonna leave here in handcuffs. You're gonna have to arrest me.
It's not date
Nope,
night.
I'm not leaving
Hey,
here.
Mike.
Nope, if
are you
I'm being
coming up?
physically removed from
Okay,
here, you're
thanks.
violating my First Amendment rights, Jeff. You
Come on
are.
up.
Not hardly.
So is Dan Petticord.
Not hardly.
Is this what you're gonna do when you're a judge, Dan? If you're a judge?
Need some more campaign rhetoric.
He's more,
No,
he's just
I'm just
campaigning,
wondering what-
that's all.
Yeah.
You know.
If you want to campaign, go out on the sidewalk and campaign.
Say whatever you want out
I'm
there.
trying to give public comments.
Okay, Mike,
Let
you
other
can have
people come
the,
up
you
here
can
and
have
make
the
similar
microphone,
comments,
Michael.
Hey, Mike.
Michael, you can have the microphone.
I want my 2 minutes, Jeff. You're gonna give me my 2 minutes, you can
You
have me
wasted
arrested.
it. You wasted it.
You're gonna have me arrested?
No, I'm not gonna have
You
you.
interrupted me. You wasted my time, Jeff.
Michael.
Sit
You wasted my
down, sit
time.
down, or I will have to
What are
have
you
you
gonna do?
excused
You're
from
not
the
my
room.
grandpa. You can't tell me to sit down. Come here and make me sit down. Have me arrested, Jeff.
Jose,
Have me arrested. Have me arrested. Okay, there it is. That's enough. That's on you, Jeff. It's on you.
I
On you, Jeff.
I got big
Thanks.
shoulders.
Hey, Mike.
Michael,
In the commissioners,
sorry
Mike,
about the interruption, Michael, but
no worries.
You interrupted.
Yeah.
In the commissioners, Michael DeCarlo, 320 Alberta, Vermilion, Ohio. Commissioner Moore, just to let you know that there's no hard feelings between the hair comment here. I brought you a bonnet.
Oh, man. For me?
Yeah, it's for you. That way you don't get any, sunburn on your head.
Oh, okay.
You got no hair up there. You made a comment. I don't.
Well, I'd usually say something, but I'm happy that your chemo is done and, right?
My friend, I just got some great news today from the oncologist. We're taking a break here for a couple more weeks, so I've been off chemo for like 2.5
Oh, congratulations.
month and a half, and I feel really good. Continuing with my comments that I made last week in regards to the unwarranted searches and seizures that we've been talking about before, I would invite you to query on YouTube Elyria Police Department kicks in door. If you've done the other stuff, and query that, and all the stuff will line up on why I'm pursuing that avenue. And it's because part of my job in the Navy, I was a quartermaster, I navigated submarines, right? So my responsibility was directly to the captain, to keep him out of trouble, as in to be his voice of reason. So when, hey, captain, I can never challenge his authority, but I can say, Captain, request you visit the plot. All right? That way I can communicate with him out of the eyeshot or earshot of everyone else. My concerns, because my concern was about the safety of the ship. That was my assignment. The ship is greater than all of us. I mean, it cost $4 billion. Who am I? Just a number, right? Anyway, that's why I preach that. And then the follow on that and to compound that even further was after I retired from the Navy and I did all that stuff, I worked for the Army for 5 years as a contractor. Taught electronic warfare, how to jam stuff and how electricity works and how communication works and how to keep IEDs from going off around our guys. And then after that, for 3 years, I was a task called Quoist. It was more or less targeting. Right? How do I make problems go away that are problems to us? And these were people in Iraq and Afghanistan that when we had actionable intelligence to remove them from the battlefield, we had to go to a judge to get a warrant. And that's why this is important to me that I'm communicating this to you and to everyone in general, is because sadly to say, it would appear that some of those folks in Iraq and Afghanistan had more rights than people in Ridgeville recently. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Great
Michael.
week.
There being no further new business,
No.
we are adjourned.
You wanna sign?
Yeah, we can.
Here's one subpart, this is just for you.
Oh, I just gotta sign this.
That one and then